Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about something called the false consensus effect, um, because I've noticed a lot of this in some of the comments on the videos on this channel. So the false consensus effect describes the tendency for people to believe that their own opinions, beliefs, and attributes are more common and normative in others than they actually are, and that opinions, beliefs, and attributes that others have that they do not share are more indicative of someone's personality. So that's like the way that I think about the world and the way that I assume the things work and the way I think is what most people think is the normal way of thinking. And those people that think differently than I think, they're just quirky and weird. And that's not what most people believe. So that's the false consensus effect. And this came into effect when people were talking about Aptera's pricing. So I made this video about, is this Aptera's price, looking at the price from the investment circular that UF Capital put out. And in that price, Aptera's pricing was listed to be about $39,000, which, admittedly is higher than they were saying before. But of course, as explained in that video, that price is a placeholder. We have no idea what the final price of the Aptera is. It could be higher, it could be lower. We don't know. It depends on what their bill of materials are and what kind of profit margin they want initially, and what their pricing strategy is going to be. They explained to me that it's most likely going to be lower than that, but of course, we don't know until the thing is made and on the market and there's a price. That price is unknown. And Aptera is adopting the Tesla pricing strategy, which is the pricing will fluctuate over time. As their bill of materials goes down, the price will go down. If their costs go up, price will go up. And it'll dynamically change rather than changing like on an annual basis or something like that. So they have more of a flexible, dynamic pricing model. And it takes into account lots of different things. But anyways, people are like, this person says it's too expensive. Aptera's Model 2 is going to come out in 2025, and they're saying it'll be $25,000. Now, me personally, I highly doubt that there's going to be a Tesla Model 2 for $25,000 in 2025. Inflation is going in one direction, and it's not. I think it's going to be $25,000. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of irrelevant, because if you look at these things, it can't be the price. By that, I mean it can't compete with full-size EVs at that price. If they're going to sell a trike, it needs to fit with the downsides of only having two seats. They will need to get that price down. No way they can compete on the market at $40,000. It'll need to be in the low 20s for a two-seater with no tax credits, on and on. So people just assume that unless Aptera is cost competitive, that there is no market for it. And there's a bunch of people who, the detractors, are saying that, but then there's a bunch of people that are like, whatever, it's fine. The price is fine, doesn't matter. And basically, I think the people that are detractors are thinking, I perceive Aptera as a cost efficient EV, and that's the way that I value that product. And if it's not cost competitive, then I'm not interested. Therefore, very few people are going to be interested, and it's going to be dead in the market. But there's many reasons that people want a different product, and it's not cost is just one of the many factors. There's something called the price elasticity of demand, and so we know this is an economic concept. You know that the more you raise the price, the demand for it will go down in general. Now, some things are more elastic in demand, and some things are inelastic in demand. That means that no matter how much you change the price, how much people buy or demand of certain things doesn't change much. Like, for example, food, like basic food products like bread or something like that. Even if you raise the price, people have to eat. They will pay that price. And if the price goes lower, it's not like they eat more of it. They usually eat the same amount of it. So changing the price up or down on certain things don't really change the demand for the thing. However, things like eating out or luxury item, jewelry, that kind of stuff, there is significant changes in demand based on the price, and most things are kind of in the middle. Uh, in general, the cheaper things are, the more demand there is for it, and the higher the prices, there's less demand for it. But there are some things that are inelastic of price. And if you look at, like, for example, let's say that you wanted a carbon fiber monocoque vehicle. There aren't very many of them. And these are, if you go to Wikipedia, these are the vehicles that have carbon fiber monocoque bodies. There is the Lamborghini Aventador, Countach, LaFerrari, the Enzo, Koenigseggs, Bugattis, Aston Martins. These are basically high-end supercars. And people are paying like $3 million for these things. So clearly some people are willing to pay millions of dollars for a carbon monocoque car. Now, obviously, Aptera is not a supercar. But it is a carbon monocoque car. There is a cheaper carbon monocoque car. The BMW i3 was a carbon fiber monocoque, but most of these are very expensive. So there are things for which, if someone is wealthy and they want a supercar, they're gonna pay the money. They don't care that you can get like a Corvette and it's like, a Corvette is probably performance-wise like 90% as good as many of these supercars for like less than 1/10 the price. Now, a rational person who just cares about price and value would probably pick the Corvette over an Aventador or a Ferrari. But that's not how people think. People are not always rational in the way that we think of as being rational. And that's the whole, like, there's a whole field of behavioral economics, because like traditional economics said, people are rational beings and they will make economic decisions based on value and metrics that they say that they prefer. But what we found out is people are not rational. People are emotional. People do things that go against sometimes their own self-interest and sometimes go against what they say that they're interested in. Now, that's not to say that, getting an Aptera is irrational. Some people will consider it to be irrational because in their mind it's irrational. But for other people, they're like, hey, I just want an efficient car and I'm willing to pay like $10,000 more for an efficient car. I really value efficiency, and I don't value efficiency for the cost benefit of it. Like, being an efficient car gives you, savings in fuel. And we talked about that. I made this video a long time ago that said Aptera will save you so much money. It's basically free. There was like a Google Sheets. You can search for this video. You just type this into YouTube and you'll find it. And I made a Google Sheets thing that you can input your commute and how much your gas costs and how much your electricity costs, and you figure out, okay, if I got an Aptera compared to my current vehicle, I would save like, $4,000 a year. Or if you have a crazy commute of like 200 miles a day, you could save like $10,000 a year. In these cases, within a few years, you would pay back the cost of an Aptera over having your current car. So there is a total cost of ownership argument to be made, because fuel is cheaper and maintenance is cheaper. So efficiency gives you these advantages. And some people want efficiency for the economic advantages, but some people just want efficiency because they just like it. And it's not that it saves them money. They just want an efficient car. And I'm kind of like in that camp too. Like, I remember when I got solar panels on my house, I'm a very like efficient person in terms of energy usage. So I don't turn down my AC very much. My AC is usually pretty high, so I don't use that much electricity. So my electric bill is like less than, on average per year, like less than $150 a month. And the guy who was selling me the solar panels, he told me, oh, you know what? We don't recommend that you get solar panels because your payback time is going to be greater than 5-6 years, and we like people to have a faster payback time. This is the first time I had a salesman tell me not to buy their product. And I told him, I don't care. I don't care what the payback time is. I just want solar panels. I just want to have solar panels on my roof. I like the idea of having solar panels on the roof. in the end, it made more sense to me because electricity prices went up, so economically it worked out well for me too. But it was not. I didn't want to have solar panels just because it was a cost efficient thing to do. I just wanted it because I wanted solar panels on my roof. And so some people are going to be like that with the Aptera. They just want the efficiency. They don't care like the cost of ownership and the less fuel cost. That's an added benefit, but that's not the driving force. And then some people are like, "Hey, I just want a solar electric vehicle," and they're gonna say, I don't really care how if it costs extra. That's what I want. Or I just want a car that looks like a spaceship and looks super futuristic. And they're willing to pay a little bit more. A lot of people are thinking, oh, Aptera's market is for cheap EVs. They just like someone who wants to pay for like a Bolt level EV. They want to pay like $25,000 or $30,000 for an EV. They'll be like, oh, the Aptera is like $25,000. I'll get that. That's because that makes sense. And that being said, I'm sure there's a large group of people like that. And if Aptera was cheaper, yes, there would definitely be more demand. If Aptera was sold for $20,000, it would sell like hotcakes. If it checks out and it delivers what they say they say it's gonna deliver, highly efficient car, solar charging, and they sell it for $20,000. Yeah, that thing is like they will never make enough of those to keep up with demand. At $30,000, I think they're gonna do very well. But at $40,000, I think that there's still a pretty big market for it. Just from total cost of ownership, it's cheaper than most other EVs. And then two, there's a large segment of people that want a carbon fiber monocoque car that looks like a spaceship that's solar powered. Like those are very specific things that you can't like get from many other vehicles. And if you want one or more of those things, like Aptera is where it's at. And you got to think like what percentage of the vehicle market wants something like that? Is it 1%? Is it 0.5%? Is it 0.1%? So how many vehicles are sold in the US? So usually about between like 15 to 17 million vehicles a year are sold in the US. Light vehicles. So these are cars. It's not including motorcycles. So if you include everything else, I know could be up to like 20 million. Anyways, let's say for the sake of argument, we'll use last year's numbers, 15 million. If 1% of people want something like an Aptera, which is a very lightweight, super efficient carbon fiber monocoque, looks like a spaceship, solar charging vehicle. Let's say 1% wants some combination of that. That's 150,000 vehicles per year. Aptera cannot produce 150,000 vehicles a year. They just can't do it. 0.1%. 0.1% of the demand is 15,000 vehicles a year. That, I believe, is going to be the production capacity of Aptera for the next couple of years. So Aptera is not in any, there's no benefit to Aptera to reduce their profit margins to try to get mass market appeal initially. Because initially there's going to be enough early adopter demand that they can sell and try to build their companies. Because initially you got to fund the company. And then as their volumes, as they become more established, then their bill of material costs go down. Their suppliers they can negotiate better deals with their suppliers. Then they can drop the price. So as adoption increases, they can drop the price and they can get a higher percentage of the market. So like if the Aptera somehow captured 1% of the US market, they would be highly successful. 150,000 Apteras per year is a ridiculous amount of volume, and that is just 1% of the market, and that's not a big ask. All right, well, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.